when I'm on the subject, um, the other interesting thing, and one of my um, things that I kind of put together in trying to put myself in their place, in my relative's place back then. Naples Street, if it was off the Grosvenor Road, it was also close to Roden Street. Now, Roden Street also went on to the Donegal Road. And from memory, Roden Street was just northwest, I think, of where my grandparents ended up living, because they lived in later years. I think it was 285 Donegal Road. Now, other cousins would know about it. I know cousin Colin Forsyth from Glasgow would know that number. And I'm mentioning that they lived within a close proximity a couple of times. One in this Naples Street in 1911, and then later on in the 30s and 40s, they lived in Donegal Road. The other thing that I think about is, how did they meet? You know what I mean? For instance, how did my mother and father meet? Now, I know that my mother ended up living in with her parents in Donegal Road. The same with, I think, Auntie Lillian and Auntie Dora lived there, and again, Auntie Grace would have had to at some stage. But that house in Donegal Road is not far from, I think it's Burnaby Street, which is where my father lived. So there is that kind of relationship, that how they met. In those days, there was no Tinder or whatever you call it now. But so they would meet at dances, they would meet through their church, or they would meet just because they were locals. They were close to each other, and the streets were close to each other, so people would be out and meeting. So that's just my thought process. Now, whether I'm right or not, I don't know, but to me, it's just a logic of how they came together, because I've still got to do the Crichton stuff, and that's, to me, is horrific. That is just, and even my aunts have said to me, because my father left when I was 2, which means that my father in 1948 left my mother, with a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Well, I took off with a lady to England. So what drives somebody like that is going through my head. And the other thing is that, and my aunts used to validate that my mother took on not just my father, but his mother was in a wheelchair. She was kind of disabled. And then he also had a brother who had would it be a mental illness? Certainly he was disabled, and he lived in Purdysburn, which was then, I think, a mental hospital. I'd have to check that out, and I will do as part of all of this. This keeps my brain ticking over. So I thought I'd just add that little bit. I'll turn it off now.